Hey, Lutz, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Now, where to begin? I'm pretty sure we should be making a movie of your life at some point. So you've played something like 25 clubs, and I was curious to know, which one do you feel most emotionally attached to? So which place did you find really hard to leave?
Well, there's a few clubs I have a bit of a tighter relationship to, simply through the circumstances. I mean, funny enough, Bradford Park Avenue, which is only a non-league club, I have a really tight mental connection to, because they somehow brought me back into football after my not so pleasant time in Singapore. You know, so it was like Trevor Staunton, who unfortunately passed away, the former Liverpool player, who really looked after me like my father, and he trained with me like every morning, every evening, just to get me back in shape. Then when I left England, I went to New Zealand and to this club because it kind of like introduced me back into professional football. So that's the two clubs where I have a little bit of a more tighter connection to than for other clubs. I played for 6 months, but
clearly, like family is key in football, and it sounds like Bradford were brilliant for you when you sort of came back. I think you were in prison for 100 days for wrongly for alleged match fixing, but that was something that you've sort of, that experience, which sounds quite horrific, that's something you actually turned into a positive, or it strengthened your character, would you say, for the rest of your career and your life?
Yeah, I mean, also, you know, the way it happened was just the crazy thing. I mean, if you do something wrong and you're getting punished for it, then, well, that's the way it is. But in my case, it was just very extreme, because I was charged for winning my games. You know, it was charges. We won 2, we drew 1. The judge told me that I played better than usual, which is a load of bollocks, to be honest. And if you're ending up then in one of the hardest prisons in the world, with people who are on death row, people who have nothing to lose, and you wake up in the morning and think, well, I'm here because I won a football game, then it's just double tough. But yeah, I mean, you know, it was very difficult. I mean, you are spending time with people who are getting hung a few weeks later, and I mean, you lived like an animal, like no bed, no toilet paper, no toilet. So it was just very tough. I needed to fight every day to survive. In the end of the day, if now you're coming back home and you try to look back and you only look at the things what happened, then I think it will be very difficult to come out from that hole. So I tried to look into the positives, and the positives was that I somehow found myself, and I found also a little bit the way, that priorities, what is really important in life. And having lots of girls, big cars, nice clothes, that's not really, you know, it's not a bad thing to have, don't get me wrong, but it's not really the most important part. So I kind of realized that there is other things than just material things, or being famous or being cool. And yeah, I mean, out of that also my charity, Global United, the idea was born, which is by now one of the biggest one in the world. It's really 380 or close to 400 former world-class players helping me to fight for a better environment, and that's something where I'm really happy about. So yeah, prison not only gave me bad memories, it somehow helped me to develop into a better person.
And talking sort of more on the pitch, well, another thing I was really curious about, so you've played in, I think, up to 6 continents. You can't really get too many more than that. I was just wondering, which country was the style or philosophy of football hardest for a goalkeeper on the pitch, where you thought, actually, in this country it's really hard for a goalkeeper?
For a goalkeeper, I found the most difficult league, you will be very surprised now, the most difficult league was the Unibond Premier.
Oh, really?
You can't compare it to any league in the world, because the physical pressure you have in this league, with the high balls and also the way the players are playing. Northern England, you know, it's a different kind of football, a very honest football, but in a way very clean, but for a goalkeeper very tough. So you get clattered quite a lot, and it was just very difficult. I mean, I played in the Brazilian Premier League. I played in lots of other leagues. For the Vancouver Whitecaps, one of the biggest clubs in the Northern America. So you know, I played in decent leagues, but the Northern League, the Unibond League, was physically the toughest.
Whoa.
The one I enjoyed most, to be fair, was my time in Brazil. Not just because I became the only player in the world who played on 6 FIFA continents, which gave me this world record. Also that I was somehow proud to play for. I was the only or the first ever German playing in the Brazilian league. I was one of the few European players, and when I played my first game in the Maracanã Stadium, it just was a very, very special feeling. And trust me, I played in lots of crazy stadiums all over the world. But Maracanã, the old Maracanã, was just fantastic.
Wow. I bet you've got a pretty good photo album, I'll tell you that. Going back into the start of your career, really, you came through the ranks at Bayern Munich, and I do believe at the age of 20, they offered you the chance to sign a contract there. So you would be there for a few years. So most people would expect you to say yes, absolutely, but you said no, I'm off to Malaysia. What was the thinking behind that decision?
I mean, the thinking till today, I believe it was the right decision. I mean, I was even younger than 20. I think I played I was in the youth national team of Germany, #1. So I was in my year that time the clear #1 goalkeeper in Germany. So I had quite high expectations of myself as well. And when Bayern Munich offered me a contract, it was not a proper first team contract. It was a contract basically training with the professionals but playing in the reserves, which was very normal by then for the youngsters, which probably even till today is normal. But I had this very big confidence, and I said, no, well, wherever I go, I don't want to sit on the bench. Then also Oliver Kahn came there, which turned out to be, in his time, probably one of the top goalkeepers in the world, maybe the best at his area. Yeah, and so I decided, well, do I really want to sit for 3-4 years on the bench, making good money, but be like second or third choice goalkeeper, knowing myself being very, very impatient and always extremely motivated to play? I think it would have ended up in a disaster. So I took the early shout and said, no, sorry, I'm not feeling comfortable of signing for the reserves. I'm taking the next best thing what comes. And a few days later, an agent contacted me about Malaysia, told me about the big crowds there and the potential in the football. Well, I knew, to be honest, I knew not much about Malaysia when I went there, so I just took the plane, and there I was.